Hello there, folks. Welcome to another episode of the UFL Show with UFL Jim preseason edition. Today we are diving in to the quarterbacks of the United Football League. I have been compiling this information, this list, since the first announcement. So let's just go. I'm going to go team by team and then I'll give you my rankings. How about that, huh? How about that? You better be okay with that.
It's the UFL Show with UFL Jim, your one-stop shop for all things United Football League. We have a sexual tension, we have the heat, we have the power, we have the news. It's all here on the UFL Show with UFL Jim.
Birmingham Stallions. Take it away, USFL Jim.
Of course, you're bringing me on to talk about the number one team
In spring football history, the Birmingham Stallions and their quarterback room. And what a beautiful room it is. You have Matt Corral, a guy who has been embedded in spring football for years now. He's probably your starter. And we've seen what he looks like for extended periods of time on the Stallions roster. Again, that was Skip Holtz, to be fair. This is a new look Stallions, but you still keep playing the hits. That's why you get a guy like Matt Corral. That's why you keep him around, because you see something in him, and you see the star he can be, the throws he can make, the plays he can develop and give you access to in a spring football format. This man is a king among peasants, and he will show that this year because he is the one who wears the crown of horses. Of course, you also have guys like Taylor Elgershma. He's pretty good too. You know, I'd say he was pretty darn good. As a prospect in the CFL. He's from Canada. Shout out our boy CFL Jim. He's shown a lot of promise. I think he could be a very powerful backup. The guy could sling it if he was even a prospect in the CFL. You know he could throw the ball around. I wonder how how to put it. I wonder how his game translates, because we see this going from the States up into Canada and vice versa. I mean, if you're good, you're good. You're gonna show it. But playing in the CFL is, contrary to popular belief, it is decently different compared to playing in a league like the UFL. And I wonder how his game sort of will translate. And then you had a guy, Jaron Hall, gone now. But now you got a guy like Michael Ayers. And, he's like the prototypical guy that the United Football League is for. He's an FCS guy. Probably fell under the radar somewhere. And, he was dropped by the Rough Riders last year. I think probably going to end up being the third string guy, but I like what I've seen out of him. I like this group as a whole. And I think having a guy like Matt Corral really bumps this up. I'm going to give the Birmingham Stallions an A-, maybe a B+. Let's go B+ for the Birmingham Stallions. I'm going to say A, but I'm no UFL Jim there. He's going to probably fuck around and give him a B+ there. Next up, we have the Columbus Aviators. Of course, starting off with Jalen McClendon, the man, the myth, the legend. He made his bones last year in the UFL. He was sort of a breakout the latter half of the season for the Houston Roughnecks. Why they decided not to retain him when they transitioned back to the Gamblers is beyond me, but he's a great player. We've seen him in the XFL in 2023. We've seen him in the UFL last year. The guy has yet to have a full season to prove himself, and I think he might have his opportunity right here, right now for the Aviators. He's going to be good. He's going to be, I believe, a top QB in this league, but he's not the only one they have. They also have Jalen Morton. Now, this guy's been all over. He's been in the CFL. He's been in the USFL. He's been in Arena Football 1. He's been in the UFL. He's been great in Arena, and I want to see what he can do. I don't know if he's going to get the starting job, but he is a great player to have as a backup in case of emergency. And he's going to be awesome to like battle it out in camp against McClendon. That's going to be fun to see. And then the third player we have Clayton Toon. Of course, was awesome at Houston. Wait, what am I? What was that? Nope. Oh, third player, Aiden Sayin, brother of world-renowned Ohio State quarterback Julian Sayin. I hope that's not the only reason they brought him into the Aviators, because this guy lit it up at Penn. I think he's a great option to have as to like bring someone in and fight. You're gonna have a great source. You have a good group of like high potential guys that have not gotten a full shot in a professional setting. I'd say out of all these three, McClendon probably has the cleanest bill of getting the starting job. I'm going to give the Columbus Aviators quarterback room, we're going to go B plus to A, somewhere in that range. I think they're good. I think they have very good upside with a nice base in a guy like McClendon and even Morton. Morton has a pretty good base. Saying we don't know, but the upside that all three of these guys bring to the table is enough to bump this team up. And I make this one of my favorite quarterback rooms to see in 2026. Back to the Dallas Renegades. And you know what? Take it away, 2020 XFL Jim.
Oh, boy. We're talking Dallas Renegades again? Dallas Renegades again? Dallas Renegades again? Oh, what a QB room, huh? What a quarterback room. It just gets me juiced to the gills talking Luis Perez, baby. The spring king, the king of spring. Makes me want to do a bump right now. How hype I am that he is returning to his home. Oh, my God. He's putting up numbers. He's going to be consistent. He gives you such a good floor. How can you not love this quarterback situation if you're Rick Neuheisel, if you're a Dallas Renegades fan? Getting a guy like Perez back is so huge. And a guy like Austin Reed. Oh, he runs an air raid system. Hot, hot, hot. I like him as a backup because guess what? Air raid quarterbacks don't run. You know what Luis Perez doesn't do? Not run. He doesn't run. He does not run. I think he's going to fit well in the system. I like what I've seen from the guy. You know, he's familiar with, I assume, the type of offense you're going to want to run if you're the Dallas Renegades. And that makes a lot of sense. That's going to be good for them. You also have a guy like Luke Lennon. Boy, he's been with the Renegades. He's been with Perez for a while. He gives you a different sort of skill set if you want to switch some things up. And sometimes that's what you need. You just switch back and forth. And he'll give that to you. The situation you're building right now in Dallas is nice. You have two guys with the same skill set, and then one guy who gives you something almost completely different. And that's going to throw some teams off. I'm going to give the Dallas Renegades, you got to give them an A. They got Perez back, baby. This is A territory.
DC Defenders. And I'm going to take this one because, of course, they were the UFL champion last season. And you know what? I think they're going to be just as good this year. They got Jordan Ta'amu, which, what can you say about Jordan Ta'amu that we haven't already? He's a legend in the spring football community. He's great at escaping, and I've said it years after year after year. As long as they have a good to decent run game, he will be one of the top quarterbacks in this league. It's maybe he runs less than he did like previous years. We've seen that kind of develop. But again, good run game, Jordan Ta'amu goes off. Or maybe it's an every other year thing. I don't know, but that's what I believe. Spencer Sanders is a backup. We all know what he could do at Oklahoma State, but I don't know if I trust his decision making just off the fact that he went to Ole Miss and everything that happened in that scenario. But great person to have as a backup, along with a guy like Mike DeLillo. He's got maybe the best legs in the room, and that's saying something when you have Jordan Ta'amu there. But don't know a lot about Mr. DeLillo, but it's hard to give this room anything but a B plus to an A when you have a guy like Tomu there as your starter. It's just going to create your baseline and raise it to a level that is one of the top 3, 2, or whatever in the UFL. That's going to give you so much momentum going in. And even if Tomu gets hurt, a guy like Sanders can step in and run an offense pretty effectively, I believe, in spring football. Moving on to the Houston Gamblers, and I'm going to get this out of the way before anything. I don't know if I trust any of these quarterbacks just because this is Kevin Sumlin, and as we've seen in a professional setting, not a good coach. But anyway, Hunter Deckers, interesting. I'm gonna use that word interesting for Hunter Deckers. He had some pretty good stats at Iowa State. He was part of some decent teams at Iowa State. I think he's a project, but I think he can fit in well in the United Football League. Donovan Smith, he's got a great body. He's hot. He's got a good look for a quarterback, but man, I don't know. He's an issue we've seen with some of these guys in spring football that I fear for a guy like Donovan Smith is I feel like he's going to get one read and then throw it away. One read, throw it away. I don't think he's going to have the progression mentality to succeed. And then you have Nolan Henderson. Back in Houston. He was really good, good-ish as a backup for the Roughnecks. And coming off of an injury, I worry just a little tiny bit. But I think he's actually setting himself up to be the starter here in Houston. He's familiar with the offense. He's probably going to be buddies with Kevin Sumlin. And I think he can be good, but not great. I don't think anyone on this Gamblers team has the potential to be great. But I think they can be good. And depending on the pieces around them, that might be enough. I give this group like a C, maybe a D+. I just don't see any ceiling raisers or floor guys, there's a lot of like mixed potential, mixed bag stuff, but I don't think the potential rises to the level of a lot of other teams, and I don't think the floor level is at a high enough spot where you trust this team to effectively move the ball downfield consistently. To the Louisville Kings, of course, we have Jason Bean. Oh my God, Jason Bean. You could basically call him the starter at Kansas in college. The man is not afraid to throw the football. He'll sling that thing out. Excuse me, I'm getting choked up talking about the Bean. He'll sling that thing out there. He won't care. I worry a little bit about his safety with the ball and maybe throwing too many interceptions. But you know what? He's going to be electric. He's going to be fun. And I hope he gets the starting spot. I really, really hope he gets the starting spot here. You also have Chandler Rogers. Did a lot of transferring in college. He moved around quite a bit, which leaves me to believe that his development may have been stunted just a little tiny bit. I think he's decent, maybe inconsistent, which he might even be more inconsistent than Bean, which is saying something, because as much as I love Jason Bean, and I love Jason Bean, he's a little inconsistent, but Chandler Rogers, I don't know, man. I worry a little bit. And then you have N'Kosi Perry. I don't know, man. He showed flashes at Miami early on and then just kind of fiddled out. Didn't really do a ton of FAU that impressed me. He's a name that people might recognize if you're really deep into college football from the last 5-6 years, but I don't think he really brings a whole lot to the table. I give this a C just because of Jason Bean raising the level. I feel like the excitement can be there, and I feel like you have guys that will toss the ball around, but I don't think anyone will, the potential is there for the floor to bottom out for the Louisville Kings, and that is something you got to keep an eye on. Orlando Storm. The Storm is a coming, folks, because you got Jack Plummer, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Hank Bachmeier. You know what that means. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is probably your starter. Let's start off, though, with Jack Plummer.
he played in a decent amount of offenses in college, like a whole bunch of different kinds. He's a good-sized quarterback. I just don't think that he excels under pressure. And you know what? Offensive lines are going to be an issue in the UFL. They've been an issue previously. It's going to be a thing. You have to have quarterbacks that are good at either escaping the pocket and slinging a pass or can run with the ball. And I don't know if Jack Plummer is that guy. But if he has time, he is really good. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, as much as people want to clown on him in the NFL, maybe he just wasn't ready. But he has the tools and the body and the ability that NFL teams took a chance on him and saw something in him. I loved him at UCLA. This guy can run. He's a great multi-threat quarterback. Great with his arm and great with his legs. And I feel like in a league like the UFL, he could do some damage. I think he could be this year's Bryce Perkins the way he breaks out. I expect Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR, to be one of the top quarterbacks in the UFL. I am calling it right now. And then you have Hank Bachmeier. I don't know, man. Hank Bachmeier got worse in my mind every single season at Boise and then further on. He just fiddled out at the end of his college career. I don't know. I don't believe in him. He's going to be a backup, potentially the third string in this group. He's basically a non-factor, but I give this a B+ just because of the level that DTR has. Honestly, I'm going to give it an A because I still think Jack Plummer could be really, really good if he gets an opportunity. It's just I worry about him under pressure. But DTR raises this team so damn high. A for you, Orlando Storm. For the St. Louis Battlehawks, I'm actually going to let this one go to 2023 XFL Jim. Take it away.
Listen, it's the St. Louis Battlehawks. It's one of the premier teams in the premierest league of football. They can't have a bad quarterback room. You can't have a bad room in St. Louis where you're trying to draw so many fans. So they have Michael Pratt. Nope, they don't have Michael Pratt because things change. Things change so damn much all the time. It's crazy. It's dumb. I don't understand how it works. But they do have Brendan Silvers. Been around forever. You know the deal with Silvers. We saw it last year. The guy just looks good on this team. And I know, different coach, probably a different offense, but he knows the system. He's going to run it well. And I like what he can do. And one thing you know with Brandon Silvers, the one thing you know with him is that he will give you a very decent floor to work from. And I feel like having a guy who's at least consistent is such a big factor in at least, especially early success in these leagues, in the first few weeks before everyone gets like the feel for how things are going to go. That's going to be a big, big help to the St. Louis Battlehawks. They also have Ben Woolridge, who, I like him decent enough. He's a good candidate for Rapoli's like new version of the UFL. Kind of slip through the cracks guys who you can really see as a development project that, they're a prototypical NFL guy, but just something happened that don't get him to that spot. I think he fits well in the league. I want to see what he can do. I don't know how much we're going to see of him, but I like that we're getting these kinds of guys. And then also Harrison Frost. That name. What a quarterback name, Harrison Frost. He was Ben DiNucci's backup in the XFL in 2023 for the Sea Dragons. He's played a very, very little bit in the CFL as a backup. Not really a ton known about the guy, but he's shown flashes, and I believe he can do some damage here. I got to give the St. Louis Battlehawks. Depending on what Silver shows up, I'm going to give him a B. If we get like the best of Brendan Silvers, how he looked in that they have weapons. So it's all going to be on Silver's back, basically. Because I think he's going to get the starting spot, and I think it's going to be well done.
And there you have it, folks. Those are the rankings of every single quarterback room in the United Football League. Wow. There's a lot to go through. There's a lot more rosters to break down. There's a lot more players to talk about. I can't wait. We've got logos to talk about. We've got team branding. We've got rosters. We've got schedules. There's a whole lot going on. And let's hear from Investigator Jim and see how everything behind the scenes is going, huh? Okay, Jim. I had to change. I had to go undercover. I had to just blend in and not look like regular investigator Jim, because they're looking for me, okay? They know who I am, they know what I'm digging into, and they don't want me to find out. Mike Rapoli is in bed with so many people with horse racing, which you know has a lot of upper elites, a lot of people out there that have a lot of connections. He's a guy that has connections out the ass, and he is using them right now to try and suppress my voice and my findings. And if he finds me, the Jimiverse as we know it may be in danger. So I'm undercover. We're good. I grew the beard out. I got the hair going. We're fine. But there's some deep shit going on. You have to trust me. Thank you, Investigator Jim. As always, this has been the UFL Show with UFL Jim. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.